This is part 2 of section 2.8. We just talked about the distance and midpoint formulas. Now we're going to start talking about circles. And these are related just because of the definition of a circle. A circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equally distant from a fixed point called the center. Now, we've already talked about how to find the distance between 2 points. So imagine that this is the center, and we find the length of this line. Well, we could expand that to every single potential point that is that same distance away from the center. So if you just think about it this way, I can think that you could probably see how they're related, even if I don't go through the whole process of showing you every single detail of it. Okay? The distance from the center to the edge is called the radius. Okay? If you're given the distance all the way across, that is diameter, and diameter is always equal to 2 times the radius. So if you're given the diameter on a problem, you can always just divide that diameter by 2 to get the radius, just in case that's what you're given. Okay, now we have 2 different formulas for a circle. This is the one that is most useful. It's called the standard form. Okay, what you're going to see is x minus a number, either plus or minus, depending on the sign of h. X, either plus or minus something, squared. This is always a plus sign here for a circle. If we have a minus sign here, we have a different type of equation altogether. And then you have y minus k, so you have some number here squared as well. And this equals to the radius squared. Well, if you compare this to this, we said here, the distance from here to here is d. Well, that's also the radius. That's where this r comes from. If you square both sides, you get something that looks very much like this. Okay? So, h is your center. X is the x-coordinate. It's with x. K goes with your y-coordinate. It's with y. K goes in your y-coordinate. Notice this is a minus, so these signs are going to seem backwards. Okay? And then to find the radius, we're going to take the square root of the number that's right here. Okay, and then we have general form of a circle. And what this is imagine multiplying everything out here and then combining like terms and simplifying it, and we would have something like this. We don't plug in here. Okay, you might be given something in this form, and you might be asked to pull information out of it. We're going to talk about how to change this into this. Or you might be asked to write an equation and then eventually write it in general form. But this is more like where you start or where you end. It's not what you use. Okay, so let's work a couple problems where we are given a center of a circle and we're told the radius. And then we're supposed to write the equation of the circle in standard form. So we're supposed to write it in this form here. So we know our r is 4. We need to figure out h and k. Well, h is your x-coordinate here, so our h is 2. K is our y-coordinate, so k is -1, and r is 4. Now let's take this information, which I pulled directly off of here from our definitions, and plug it in up here. So I have x minus h, which is 2, squared, plus y minus, k is -1, so this is y minus a -1 squared is equal to 4 squared. Now let's simplify a little bit. This is x minus 2 squared plus, this becomes y plus 1 squared equal to 16. Now, if you look at it here, you can go directly, you will be able to graph easily from this, because we can see what our circle is. Your x-coordinate is good. Right here it looks like -2. Your x-coordinate is always going to be the opposite sign, 2. Here this is +1, this is -1. The radius is the square root of whatever you have right here. The square root of 16 is 4. This is the answer they're looking for in this problem. Okay, so let's say the center is -5, -3, and our radius is the square root of 5. So the h is -5, the k is -3, and r is the square root of 5. Now, because these are negatives, we're going to end up with the double negative again. So these are going to be pluses. This is x minus a negative 5, which is the same as x plus 5 squared, plus y minus a negative 3, so that's y plus 3 squared is equal to, well, what is the square root of 5 squared? Well, if you square a square root, you get what's underneath, right? So that's 5. This is the equation they're looking for. The center is the point, it is negative 5, negative 3. So these come from the opposite signs right here. This would be a negative 5. This would be a negative 3. And then you take the square root of this to find the radius. And that's going to be it. Okay, so let's talk about graphing something given standard form, okay? First thing you want to do is you want to find your center and your radius. Well, what is my h? My h is going to be, remember, you always use the opposite sign of what's right here. So my h is 2. My k is, that's a minus 3, so my k is a positive 3. And then the radius is the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, so now we have enough information to do our graph here. The first thing you want to do is you want to plot your center. Your center is the point HK, so that's 2, 3. So I'm going to go over to 2, 3, and that is the center of my circle. Okay? Now all I have to do is I have to count out 4 units in every direction from here. Now really you just want to count your 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. So I just go out 4 from each direction. Okay, and then you want to connect these with something roundish. I don't expect you to have beautiful circles. I have a cheat sheet here. So I'm going to use this to draw a decent circle here so you can have an idea what your graph is. Your answer will look like that. Okay, so I have a circle that passes through these points, and each of these points is 4 units away from the center, which is the point 2, 3. That's all it takes to graph. Now on the computer, what you'll do is you'll choose the circle tool. You'll click on the center and just drag it out until it's as wide as you need it to be. Okay, so let's do another one of these problems. Okay, so I have x plus 4 squared plus x minus, plus 5 squared is equal to 25. So again, let's find our h and our k so we can have our center. And then we'll find r. Okay, so my h, this is a plus 4, so my h is minus 4, opposite signs. Okay, you can also think of this as if we were doing horizontal shifts because it's kind of the same idea. Our k, oh, that's a typo. That should be a y right there. I will fix that on yours before you get to this section so you'll have a proper download. Okay, so our k value, this is plus 5, so this should be minus 5. The center here will be negative 4, negative 5. Okay, negative 4, negative 5. So that graph is down there somewhere. Okay, now the radius. It's going to be the square root of this, so the square root of 25, which is 5. Okay, so I count 5 units in every direction from here. So that's here. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have all of my points. And then I graph these. I connect these with something roundish as long as I can tell that you know that it's not a diamond shape and that it's roundish. I'm going to be happy, and you have your graph there. Okay, now in the next few problems, we're going to have something in general form, and these are more difficult problems, we are going to have to use completing the square. I warned you when we learned about that the first time that there were going to be topics that we could not work any other way. Here we are.